Hey YouTube, good afternoon. Coming to you for a little lunchtime drive. Haven't done one of these in a while, but we've had some things going on here I just want to talk about real quick. And has to do with one of our state assemblymen who recently really stepped in the business with some statements he made. I've been following him for quite a while. He's not my assemblyman, but he's just one district over. And he's always been a supporter of Second Amendment, nullification, states' rights, a lot of things like that. So I've always appreciated a lot of what he had to say. But recently at a meeting, he came out and he said that if his constituents supported it, you know, as much as he might hate it, he would vote for slavery if that's what they wanted. You know, basically trying to say that, you know, if whatever his constituents wants, he's going to vote for. And I think that shows a fundamental problem with the GOP in particular, that they don't fundamentally still understand individual, you know, rights. They still are, even at that level where you got a guy local who's been a, you know, really strong supporter of a lot of the good things, fundamentally doesn't make the connection that some things aren't voted. You're not able to vote on them. They're there. You can't just vote away somebody's liberty because that's what your constituents want. I know you're trying to make a point, but you got to find a better example to make. I mean, he's going to be done. He's already got a lady running against him who, it's going to be scary. I mean, she said already in her opening, she's already saying she's going to run against him, but she was our former governor's chief of staff, and he was a philanderer and a lot of other things. And so I don't imagine she's going to have, it'll be interesting to see what she has to offer. But he's put himself in a bad position by using a bad analogy and just not fundamentally linking his responsibility to his constituents and using a bad example and not having the proper mindset and mentality. You got to be of always the mentality, you know, if you're in that position, that some things are not negotiable, even if your constituents want it. If your constituents want to tax people out of existence, you know, or whatever, you can't support that. You can't support slavery. You can't support voting away individual rights. It's like we say, you know, the Second Amendment is non-negotiable. It is. It's non-negotiable. Just like liberty and the absence of slavery is non-negotiable. You cannot be voted into slavery. You cannot vote away somebody's Second Amendment right. And that's, you know, through the representatives, of course, is what we're talking about. That's not a negotiable thing. The constitutions of this United States and our state restrict the government and what they can do for a reason, so that they can't vote those things away. And so, you know, as much as I liked what the guy was doing, he's obviously put himself in a sensitive spot, and we're probably going to end up with a statist basically filling that spot, covering herself as a Tea Party type. But we'll see. So that was just the update. I'll put some links below if you want to catch up on that story. But I just wanted some thoughts on that. Some other things going on in the news, though. There's a article in CNBC today that I'll link below. I put it on Google Plus if you want to check it out. Basically saying we're going to have quantitative easing by the Federal Reserve forever. It was basically stating what their benchmarks were to end QE or ease up QE. We're going to be more flexible and more restrictive, and they're not going to raise interest rates and stuff like that. And so it sounds like it's QE to infinity and beyond, for lack of a better way to say it, or a funny way to say it, I guess. But I thought that was an interesting article. Go check that out. More inflation to come. And if the longer they hold interest rates down, the more inflation is going to hit you hard when it does come around. It's be like a whiplash effect, if you will. So that's been interesting. And obviously we had that shooting yesterday in the Jersey Mall, and they are jumping all over it. Don't go shopping this Christmas. Don't go shopping for Christmas anytime soon at the mall. They were talking about all kinds of profiling, and one news report I was listening to on the radio was talking about, well, did he look out of place? Did he not frequent that mall often? It's like, how would they know if they frequented the mall often? I mean, so that means the one time I go to the mall in 6 months that I'm a target, that I'm a potential, you know, shooter or whatever, because I never go to that mall. That's what he made it sound like. And I don't go to the mall, yeah, exactly, once a year maybe, twice. So yeah, they're leading on to some very more police state-like controls that they want to put in place, at least in New Jersey, and probably in other big malls like that, because I guess that's where it happened. It was the second biggest or something behind Mall of America. So, your malls are going to look like casinos with, cameras everywhere and everything like that. Casinos do a good job of hiding their security as far as people, but they got cameras everywhere. But I don't know what'll be coming to the malls. They're talking about all kinds of craziness, profiling and, facial recognition and all kinds of stuff. So more police state to come based upon what happened yesterday and the way they're talking it up in the news. But just bringing a couple of those things. We'll talk at you later, YouTube. Make sure you check out the Green Dragon Tavern coming up tonight, as a matter of fact. There was a ad hoc one last night. It was pretty interesting that Tony led. But come join us tonight. I think it's going to be on the scheduled time, which is 7 Pacific, which is 9 Central, 10 Eastern, or whatever. But come and check it out, and we'll talk to y'all later. Live free.